Hi, my name's Kresse. I'm the co-founder of ElvisandKresse. We are a sustainable luxury business that essentially does three things. We rescue raw materials, we transform them into pretty amazing things, and then we donate 50% of the profits to charities associated with the waste. We basically fell in love with London's decommissioned fire hoses. So you have a fire hose which is 22 meters long, and if it gets a small tear in it somewhere near the edge, you can fix it, you can patch it, just like a bike tire. But if you get a catastrophic tear somewhere near the middle, that's it, it's not a hose anymore, it's not useful to the fire service. And they are decommissioning these to the rate of about 3 to 10 tons a year. So we started collecting it in 2005 without any idea what we were going to do with it. And for us, really, we wanted to kind of reverse the design process. We started calling it backwards design from day one. So instead of thinking of it in a linear term, like you have an idea, you acquire the materials to achieve that idea, and then you don't really care what happens at the end, we thought we'll start at the end and we'll think about what is the most incredible aspect of this raw material and what could it possibly become, and how can we make sure that its next life is filled with value and time, and really ensure that it has a really potentially amazing future. So what we did discover when we were doing our research is that fire hose is made of nitrile rubber, and this is a material that a lot of other luxury businesses use in some of their collections as an alternative to leather. And we thought, why don't we think of it from the perception that we could actually change the luxury industry? Because the luxury industry, the history of it used to be about, provenance and authenticity and delivering some kind of exceptional utility. So Louis Vuitton was about travel, and Hermes was about the best saddles, and Burberry was about this incredible gabardine fabric and the trench coat. And for us, we thought, well, why don't we really honor the fire hose and really elevate that and change people's perception of waste through the medium of fire hose? And the only way to do that is if we fill it with all kinds of love and craftsmanship and care, and we make it as appealing to everyone else as it is to us. We don't do seasons because the fire hose is red. There are classic utilitarian shapes that are perennial. A wallet is a wallet, and that shape has been perfected by many brands over time. So why don't we make the best fire hose wallet that there ever would possibly be? And that's kind of the core principle of what we call utilitarian design. And then we want people to cherish these things long term. So we will guarantee it for the first year, and then we will be here to repair these items for life. We've had someone leave their prized bag next to a bunny hutch and have a rabbit chew through the handle, which we were happy to replace. And I think by doing these things slightly differently, really according to our values, you actually end up coming up with not just a series of products, but also a brand that means something and has something to say to the industry. Giving half of the money away, a lot of people say that, a lot of our proto investors have said that was a crazy, insane decision to make. But we give half of the money from the fire hose collection to the Firefighters Charity. And this is an organization that exists to help active and retired fire service personnel be healthy and live full and wonderful lives. Fire hose, before we started taking it, as you can imagine, wasn't a material that was designed necessarily to be a textile. It wasn't even designed to be pristine or made clean again. So we had to first come to grips with how we could cut it down. We have a machine that basically is like a giant pasta cutting machine, and that allows us to edge the hoses. The second thing you need to do is clean the hose. Over the years, we have invented several different combinations of equipment that come together and coalesce into a unified way to clean the hose. Once it's clean, we then have to consider whether we're using it for belts or we're using it for bags. Belts, we can use full thickness hose. If we're going to do bags, we have to actually peel the hose in two. And we design all of our bags around the diameter of a hose, which is 10 centimeters. And that means that you can see this lovely striping in all of our products. It also means it is zero waste design, because every pattern is designed around what the hose is rather than what we want it to be. With the leather, it's slightly different, because what we're trying to do is take completely different shapes of scrap, and sometimes they're very, very small, and transform them into whole new hides. that you can scale to virtually any size. And the way that we've done that is by creating Lego-like pieces that you can basically individually cut and hand weave together to create a very, very uniform surface. So a lot of people always ask us about what other materials we use. And I think it's really important that when you're making an environmental product, you don't then package it in brand new materials. For us, we're so committed to reclamation that we will take a coffee sack apart strand by strand, and we will use those strings of retired coffee sack to tie any labels onto our products. The labels that we make for the products are made from pieces of cardboard that we cut from shoe boxes that we collect from a local shoe store. And a lot of our packaging is made from tea sack that we rescue from Yorkshire tea. Tea sack is this incredible material. It's 4 layers of paper, 3 layers of craft paper, and the 4th layer is craft paper wedded to foil and polymer. And because of that 4th layer, which protects the tea from UV and from exposure to the air, you can't recycle and capture this paper. But we can, because we bring the tea sacks here, we carefully cut it into its 4 constituent parts, and then we reuse each layer of paper at a time. So we have mailing envelopes, brochures, leaflets, all made from rescued tea sack paper. And it's gorgeous, stunning material that has elephants on it, and it will say if it's from Rwanda or India. And it has a story in itself. And I think it's really important to ensure that not just our main core materials are made of reclaimed materials, but also the linings, also the packaging, also the building that we're in. You know, the wall behind me is made of fire hose tiles. Tong Mill, our site, is a building that we found in 2013, and we restored using virtually all waste materials. If we decide to take a material on, we know that it's a big commitment. And several years ago, we started looking at leather waste. We had one saddle maker in the UK send us 1 bag of leather waste, and we thought, goodness, what can we do with this? That really made us think, well, that's one saddle maker. Let's try and get an industry-wide view of the scale of this problem. And what we discovered was that each year, 800,000 tons of leather is wasted, and it's just offcut. But we knew there had to be a life for this material. And we came up with a set of principles that really took us down the route we're in now. We said, look, it has to be designed for deconstruction. It has to help us deliver the circular economy. We want it to be made, to be unmade, to be remade again. And we also want it to fulfill our values. So 50% of the profits from what we do with leather go to renewable energy projects, which is really important because cows and climate change have to be redressed somehow. And we really need to get off of fossil fuels. So that's why we're focused on that. And once we'd been working with the leather for a while, we were approached by Burberry. And they said, you know, we love what you're doing. We would love you to help us because we have a significant leather waste issue. And if you help us, we would like to help you grow so that this solution can scale much beyond our business. And we thought, wow, this is brave and exciting of them to engage with us in this way. We launched late last year a 5-year partnership with the Burberry Foundation. And it's very exciting. It will see us bringing in new apprentices into our workshop, hopefully saving over 125 tons of leather offcuts. And I think really sending a signal to the industry that this doesn't need to exist as a waste. One of the reasons we're really excited to work with Modafirma is that we know that fashion is the 2nd most polluting industry in the world. And yet within that space, and there is incredible sustainable luxury. There are unbelievable brands who are making commitments to employment, to energy use, to locally sourced materials, to really changing the way we consider our clothes and consider the items that we bring into our lives. And what Modafirma is doing is helping these brands bring those stories to life. And it's fantastic that they're doing that because a lot of brands like ourselves are small, and we're sometimes a little bit focused on the impact that we have rather than being our best storyteller. So it's fantastic for us to engage with a platform like Modafirma, which is a storytelling platform that can really celebrate the best things that are happening in this industry. All of these decisions that we made were very natural decisions for Elvis and I to make. And I think it's interesting that they have come together to create a cohesive story that is now, I guess, a 13-year-old business. It's been a long, winding road for us, but it has always been fun, and it's always been values driven, which is why I think we're still here and we're still so happy with it, and we're still really proud to share the story and also to see where we can go next.